Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino. Tommy joining us this morning over at Court Street Cafe in gorgeous downtown Port Allen. I'm at an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. And check out lasportshall.com. We got a great event November 13th, 14th in Lake Charles. And we're presented by LeBear's Casino, where tonight is Get Right Monday. If you haven't really done well with your bets, Tommy finished in the plus category on Saturday by a little bit. On Sunday, 0 for 3. 0 for 3 on Sunday. Ouch. Took it on the chin a little bit on Sunday. So this is like a Get Right Monday, So, your last chance to get right for the week on NFL football.
Well, as you know, I hit Kansas on the money line, so I'm plus on the weekend due to that plus 280. But I hit the Chargers last night. So, but I missed the Chiefs. I did bet the Chiefs. How the heck did that happen, huh?
Well, I mean, Kansas City absolutely manhandled by the Denver Broncos. Kansas City had 5 turnovers. Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos 3-2 in their last 5, and give them credit. Remember, they got beat 70-20. They hadn't won by the Dolphins, hadn't won a game, and then since then they've gone 3-2 in their last 5. Now, by no means are they a perfect team; they are still super flawed, but they finding a way and to be credited. But man, the Chiefs, I don't even, that's just bizarre to me. I guess Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce were staying up all weekend watching all the social media and seeing all the, I think Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift was the most popular Halloween costume in America. And then maybe they spent too much time just going online looking at all the pictures.
You saw what the Broncos did after the game? When the game's over, can't believe it, playing Taylor Swift music.
Oh, were they?
Stadium, yeah. They don't think that wasn't planned.
Yeah, that's good.
That wasn't just the next thing on the playlist.
But hey, the New Orleans Saints surprised some folks, including myself. I mean, it looked like the season in my mind was almost over when they were trailing 17-7 in the first half, and it was like, okay, here we go. We can't stop them running the football. Offense is inept. And then, to their credit, down 10, turned it around, and at the end of the day, one of the best offensive performances of the year, over 500 yards and over 35 points.
Yeah, it surprised me. I had the Colts on the money line, just a little bitty number, but no. Hey, Saints played like they need to play the rest of the year. Now it's the Colts, okay? They got Minshew at quarterback, and they've had some other injuries, but Saints found a way to get it done. Played it, like you said, arguably their best game of the year in all phases of the game. Even Groupie was making field goals, but so hey, that's something to build on. They're tied for first place with the Falcons. Still got to play the Falcons twice this year, including the final week of the season in the Superdome. That could be a serious playoff implication game, or maybe not. So Saints host the Bears this coming Sunday. In the Dome at noon. Bears got waxed by the Chargers last night out on the West Coast. I watched a good bit of that game. But, that's clearly a winnable game for the Saints this week, especially if they can get some momentum and confidence from the road win in Indianapolis yesterday. So Saints are in a much better spot than they were just a short time ago.
Shaheed had, only the third Saints receiver to have 3 catches and over 150 yards receiving in a game. Only over 150 yards or more and on only 3 catches. He was gigantic. As far as Kamara was Kamara, how about the fact that he now is tied with Jim Brown, 5th all-time on receiving list. For games where he's had, I think, 100 yards. Oh, no, he's had a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown. He's done that 11 times in his career, where he's had one of each, and that's tied with Jim Brown. That's pretty good. Another stat that it reminds me of a story I'll tell you about Skip Bertman in a minute. But when teams aren't very good and they start putting out stat lines to tell you they're good, like Dennis Allen yesterday in front of his team in the locker room said it was the 3rd game in a row that the Saints have had 400 or more yards total offense, 3 games in a row. And that was the first time they've had 3 games in a row of more total offense since like 2017 or something like that. And you think back and go, really? I mean, as gross as this offense has looked in the red zone, and they were much better, obviously, against the Colts. To quote that is like, wait, are we going to start saying that this offense is up there with a Drew Brees offense? No, but
yeah, he's trying to change the narrative.
Yeah, of course. 1999 LSU baseball lost in a super regional at Alabama that year. That was Kurt Ainsworth's senior year when he was a junior, when he was a first-round draft pick of the Giants. They had a really good team, but not up to LSU standard, right? LSU had just come off of winning back-to-back national championships, or 96, 97, and then lost in Omaha in 98. In 99, they didn't make it to Omaha. They lost in a super regional on the road at Alabama. And during that year, that was an offense that had struck out a record number of times, and their hitting coach, Jim Schwanke at the time, who kind of was fearing the worst, which inevitably happened. He was replaced after that season, and they brought in Turtle Thomas the next year to be the hitting coach. And he was kind of getting desperate and hanging on there at the end. He brought in after they got beat 2 out of 3 or something on the road, he brought in a hit sheet. Now, a hit sheet is a special sheet that hitting coaches will keep relative to at-bats. It doesn't – book means you got to hit, you got to walk, you got to strike out. Book just keeps track of what happened in the game. But a hit sheet will give you a little bit more information. Like if you line out to the shortstop, but he catches it, well, on the book it's just, L6, 1 out. But on a hit sheet, it'll say like, hey, hit it hard, and it'll kind of go down as a good thing. Even though, you didn't get the hit, you hit it right on the button, you hit it well, and it'll give you some information like that. Well, Jim Schwanke walks into Coach Bertman's office with that hit sheet right after they'd lost 2 out of 3. And he says, Coach, I was looking at watching the game, and I was looking at the hit sheet. We did better this weekend than I thought. We actually had a pretty good weekend offensively. And he handed the hit sheet to Coach Bertman, and the legend has it that Coach Bertman took that hit sheet and went, ooh, hit sheet, looked at it, and then lit it on fire with his cigar and threw it in the garbage can.
I figured it was headed for the garbage can. That's beautiful. But that's a perfect analogy for, Dennis Allen knows what the narrative has been about the offense for a month, and he's trying to, give it to 180.
Yeah, and no question about it. A little spin. But, hey, over 500 yards of offense, the 10 days that they had off, which they've got 10 days off from that last Thursday debacle to now. And clearly they got some things right. They got a little bit more on the same page. Michael Thomas played, even though he had been sick for 24 hours, throwing up and not feeling well. He toughed it out. Kamara was sensational. Shaheed was big. Olave made a few big catches, even though they still look like they have some work to do being on the same page. How about the ball that Olave dropped right off his face mask that would have went for a touchdown? I mean, and I've noticed it, Tommy, it wasn't just that play. When Olave is running downfield and it's a high ball from Carr, he has trouble finding it. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to get your head around, and it's another thing to get your head around and track the ball. There's been times throughout this year where you can tell he doesn't necessarily find it. And even on a bad throw where it lands near him and it's not catchable, you can tell there's this indecisiveness about where the ball is.
Well, I mean, it could be a lot of things. Lights could be a thing, especially on the road. It's different lighting. It shouldn't be a problem. I guess that sounds like I'm making an excuse, but no, he's got so much upside, and he's so good. I mean, he's had a couple of moments this year, and you just got to learn from it and get better.
All right, so Saints find themselves as imperfect as they are. They have a lot of work to do still. They find themselves 4-4, and we knew this going into the season. This was a hot garbage division. Thank God it is. It's given the Saints time to hopefully right the ship. And Taysom Hill's playing great. They've got a lot of great pieces. Look, I think 9-8 is going to win the division, and the Saints are trending in that direction. Let's talk some other big news of the NFL. Obviously, Kirk Cousins has become a household name thanks to the documentary Quarterbacks on Netflix that everybody watched in August. He's had more starts than any other quarterback since 2017 or 2016 in the NFL. And he, like Aaron Rodgers, finds himself out for the rest of the year with a torn Achilles tendon. And when you start getting over at any age, a torn Achilles tendon's tough. But when you get to the 30 plus part of your age, it's even harder. And now you're talking about next year, two stud quarterbacks, two franchise quarterbacks, two faces of the league and faces of their team quarterbacks, and Cousins and Rodgers. There's question marks about the rest of their career.
It really is. I mean, it's always a serious injury, especially when you're up in age a little bit. And I guess the silver lining, if you're the Vikings, the NFL trade deadline tomorrow afternoon, 3 or 4 o'clock, something like that. I guess if they're interested, and I'm sure their phones are going crazy today saying, okay, do we go get somebody? Who do we go get? What's it going to cost us? Can we, catch the Lions in the division? I mean, there's a lot of issues there. And I saw a list of, the 5 or 6 potential guys that the Vikings could go get. And Jameis Winston of the Saints was on that list. That doesn't mean he's going there, but, we'll find out tomorrow with the trade deadline. And there's no guarantee that the Vikings will make a move, but I think they will, especially with the timing of this deal. And in their mind, they still got in the hunt in the NFC North.
Yeah, Jameis Winston's name came up when Aaron Rodgers went down with that injury, and of course the Jets sat pat. They had Zach Wilson. They had spent a first-round pick on him a couple years ago, so they were more confident than, say, the Vikings. I don't think the Vikings will sit pat. I think the Vikings will try to make something happen. Do they think Jameis Winston's the guy? The problem with going and getting a quarterback halfway through the season is, and if you want to figure out who they're going to go get, find out where the offensive coordinator or the head coach used to coach and what kind of relationship they have with quarterback. Because chances are the system is going to be very similar. And the problem with getting a guy that, he might be a talented player, but it might take him 8 games to just learn the offense. That's the challenge that you have. So usually they go find somebody where they've coached them along the last few years. They spent some time with them because they know that guy's going to be able to pick up the offense faster because he's run it before. So, but it's a game that, credit the Jets. I mean, even though the Giants are awful, they found a way to win. One of the more bizarre endings ever. The Jets win in overtime 13-10, and they find themselves 4-3, Tommy. They actually have a winning record, which I never thought that would have happened after Aaron Rodgers went down in the first quarter of the first game of the season. So even though it's been gross and all that, the Jets have ridden that fantastic defense to a winning record at this point, and really one of the feel-good stories of the league.
Yeah, it really is. And, the much maligned Zach Wilson, has had his moments when he's done pretty darn good. And, they got a lot better record than some of the teams in the NFL.
Just for folks that didn't see, the Jets were trailing by 10-7. The Giants lined up with 30 seconds to go to kick a little chip shot field goal to go up, by 6 points, which would mean the Jets would have to score a touchdown in the last 25, 30 seconds of the game. And the kicker hooked it, missed the chip shot field goal, much like Groupie did when he missed that 29-yarder a couple weeks back. And miraculously, thanks to a big play and a penalty and in pass interference, and boom, next thing you know, Jets go right down the field goal, kick a field goal at the horn to send it to overtime, and then end up winning in overtime. But I mean, just that always that debate, Tommy, on whether or not you should go for a field goal. Because if they go for it on 4th and 2 there at about their own 25-yard line or so, 20-yard line or so, if they don't make it to the Giants, then the Jets get the ball with 30 seconds left, and they've got to go roughly, 40 yards to have a field goal chance, okay? To just have a field goal chance, and I'm talking about to get a 55-yarder or so off. Do you go for the first down, and then if you get it, ball game's over? Or do you hit the field goal, kick off, make them go 75 yards for 7 points? Obviously, you risk missing the field goal, which is what happened, but the field goal attempt was about a 95% make when they attempted it. Would you have done the same thing, or would you have gone for it?
Well, I think you got to read, like, your defense is playing well that day, so let's go for it. And if we're not successful, we're going to trust that our defense is going to stop them, and going to at least, not let them win the game. So, that's a decision that involves many things that day. And then Ronnie, I got an interesting observation about analytics that I've kind of concluded after hearing some people talk in the last couple of weeks. Like in that case, if the analytics told them to try the field goal, and then they said, okay, if you make this field goal, your percentage of winning go way up. The thing analytics doesn't tell, or they don't talk about, is if you try that field goal and miss it, now your percentage of winning goes way, way down. So there's a give and take to everything. And the analytics, everybody tries to look at the analytics and what it'll mean if it's successful. They don't talk about, or they don't look at what it'll mean if the analytically driven decision does not work.
The field goal, Tommy, was the attempt at the end of the game with 30 seconds left or so was they were at the 17-yard line. So it was a 34-yard field goal, which is literally an extra point. The extra point's 33 yards. So an extra point in the NFL right now, and I don't necessarily know the numbers, but I would put an extra point as probably a 95, 96% make. Okay. So probably in that situation, they're not even almost even considering the miss. It's all about if we don't get the first down, they got to go 83 yards, Tommy, 83 yards. Well, no, if they don't get the first down, they got to go about 50 yards to have a legitimate field goal chance. It's a makeable field goal with 30 seconds left. But if you do make it, they got to go 85 yards, 75 yards for a touchdown. I think in the NFL, you got to believe your kicker can make an extra point. I mean, it's a 95% make. And I don't fault the Giants coach. I just think sometimes when it's going bad, and Skip Bertman used to say, when you're dipped in shit, so when things just go, when it's rolling bad, sometimes it's just rolling bad. Right now, the Giants are rolling bad. They don't have their starting quarterback, and their kicker can't make a 34-yard field goal to win the game. I had
a couple of coaches used to always say, "Mama said there'd be days like that." Okay, when it's just not going to work,
All right, let's talk a little college football. The line, LSU started out as a 5.5-point dog. Now they're only a 3.5-point dog. And even though Bama and LSU didn't play this past weekend, I guess the love of the LSU offense and Jaden Daniels is real. I mean, 2 points trimmed off that short line is pretty impressive.
But the over and under hadn't moved, so that means it's about LSU. And we talked the other day, we thought that line would go down if it moved at all. 3.5. By the way, both teams this season were 5-3 against the spread. So nothing to really hang your hat on there. But 6:45 Saturday night in Tuscaloosa, CBS prime time. There'll be a lot talked about it all week long. Brian Kelly will meet with the media later today, and it's going to be two teams ready to go. Just and Ryan. By the way, I looked it up. This is the shortest. Not sure, that's not the word. The smallest point spread in this series in like 12 years.
Really?
You go. Now in 2019, it was like 6. Other than that, it's been double digits, including last year. Bama was a 12.5-point favorite when the game kicked off at LSU, and of course LSU wins in overtime. So this is the tightest line, smallest line in many years in the LSU Bama game. It's magnifying the importance for both teams, the importance for the SEC West, the college football playoff rankings, which come out tomorrow night. And then this game will affect the rankings the next week, one way or the other. So it's a big one, as we've become accustomed to here in Louisiana, knowing that when LSU plays Bama, it's usually a lot on the line in the last 20 years or so. And that's going to be even more so this season. And as everybody said, we said it on Sports Shorts Radio. By the way, special thanks to Most Blessed Sacrament Fair, the men's club, and the guys for really doing a great job hosting us out there last Saturday morning. Had us all set up. They fed us the whole bit. But, so back, LSU Bama, this is a major, major game. There'll be a lot of people watching it. Also, you got the whole conversation of Jaden Daniels. If he throws for 395 yards and has 3 touchdowns passing and 1 rushing, and LSU wins, he'll be up near the top of the conversation for the Heisman Trophy.
I think I don't even know that the numbers at this point matter for Jaden Daniels, because he's gonna naturally have good numbers if LSU's gonna win. I just think they just have to win out. It's not about whether it's 395 or 295. It's about
LSU
win.
Yeah.
the rest of the way. Washington looks, Oregon, Bo Nix had a, good game. They won big, but he didn't put up gaudy numbers. But Bo Nix's numbers are gaudy over at Oregon. We obviously know Penix at Washington right now. They're undefeated. Quarterback at Florida State, undefeated. And because when you look at Georgia and you look at Ohio State, Michigan, are there crazy numbers by anybody over there? No. So I think it's going to be one of those guys. Can Florida State finish it? Can Washington finish it? Can Oregon not lose any other games? And Bo's going to have these crazy numbers, But if Jaden Daniels wants to leapfrog that group, then LSU has to win out the rest of the way. A 3-loss LSU team is not going. Quarterback is not going to win the Heisman over somebody who's undefeated. And but that's what they have at stake.
I agree.
Game day, college game day will be there. They announced they'll be in Tuscaloosa, so the whole crew will be there. It is going to be awesome. We'll talk plenty more about it on Wednesday and Friday. Press conference today from Brian Kelly, so we'll have a lot to talk about on Wednesday. The World Series, the Diamondbacks have to be kicking themselves. They should be up 2-0 over the Texas Rangers. They're not. They're 1-1 going back to Game 3 tonight in Arizona, where the Diamondbacks are an underdog at home. I'm surprised about that.
Well, Texas Diamondbacks were favored all day yesterday into last night. Of course, that was a travel day. And then I looked at it this morning, prepping to go on air here, and the Rangers are now minus $1.15. Diamondbacks are minus $1.10. So it moved around. Pitching didn't change. I mean, the weather's not an issue. It's just going to be Game 3. Obviously, an important game. Maybe the Rangers' success on the road, particularly in the postseason, had a little something to do with that, or either that, or a lot of money was coming in the other way. So Game 3 tonight, right after 7 o'clock, will be the first pitch. Max Scherzer for the Rangers, who's had 2 bad outings in the postseason, and then Brandon Pfaadt, who was going to go for Arizona, who through Game 7 of the League Championship Series. This guy's a rookie, come out of nowhere, and they're hanging their hat on him. And his numbers aren't great, but he's had some really good innings. He's had them shutdown innings, and he's been key, and that's who they're going with. So I'll be all over Game 3 in the World Series tonight.
Well, Pfaadt pitched really well, and like you said, recently, but in Game 7 in Philadelphia, I didn't think he would come through in that environment, and he did. Now he's at home. Really, the Diamondbacks have been the better team, other than 2 innings in the series through the first 2 games. So, kind of surprised there, because I'm not believing in Scherzer, even though he's a Hall of Fame pitcher and everything. He's been banged up this year, hadn't thrown as well. There's no momentum right now for Scherzer. Like this last time out wasn't great. So it's a battle of 2 pitchers who have had ups and down years. Pfaadt went down to AAA, came back. So you've got two pitchers. I guess if you hang your hat, you're going to hang your hat on the Hall of Famer to get it right, maybe before Pfaadt. But I think the Diamondbacks are the team of destiny. I mean, if I'm pulling somebody, and I'm really not, I would say I'm pulling for the Rangers just because of the location and Josh Smith, the LSU Tiger and former St. Alphonsus student. We went to school, the same school as my daughter. So I'm pulling for the Rangers because of that. But I do think the Diamondbacks are kind of the team of destiny. What they did in the postseason is just a little bit more impressive.
Ronnie, something I didn't know till I was reading info last night. Max Scherzer's major league debut was with the Diamondbacks. I didn't realize that his career started there. And I read that little nugget last night. And, of course, now he's in Arizona in a World Series situation. So that's just another little cute story from the world of baseball.
Big game tonight in Major League Baseball, the World Series. And if you're a Pelicans fan, you watch them both. The Pels are in action. They're 2-0 to start the year. Zion is healthy. Keep him away from the buffet and make sure he limits the minutes. They are a 4.5-point favorite tonight against the Golden State Warriors. Going to be a big crowd. Obviously, a chance anytime Golden State comes to town to see Steph Curry and the gang. That's going to be exciting. So a little Monday night football. You got the World Series and you got the Pels tonight. A lot to get on.
Well, a friend of mine went to the Pelicans game the other night. He said there wasn't many empty seats. It was a really good crowd. They won that home opener by 9 points over the New York Knicks. Said Zion looked very good. Doesn't play a lot of defense. That was the comment he made. But they're not paying him to play defense. Okay. So, but he was looking good. And at this team, Ingram, he's a dude. So, I mean, aren't you going to the game tonight? Are you still planning on that? So, I mean, hey, try to get off to a 3-0 start. That'd be great for the Pelicans. I'm thinking it'll be a huge crowd. You know, it will be a huge crowd. Should be sold out. And that people need to get behind the Pelicans, see if they can, you know, get another win. They're 4.5-point favorites, like you said. I mean, you know, at home, but and the Warriors aren't necessarily the Warriors that we know from 3-4 years ago. But, you know, Steph Curry, they'll be all right. Yeah,
no, the Warriors are not picked to win the West. In fact, those teams that, you know, kind of like the Suns and the Nuggets to repeat, and, you know, the Lakers always, when you've got Anthony Davis, LeBron James, are always going to be in that conversation. But look, the Pels were first place in the West at one point last December, and were rolling until Zion got hurt. So, and they don't have the depth right now. They're missing 2 or 3 guys on the bench with injuries. They won't really be hopefully healthy till January, but they've got the starting 5 core is there. And if they can keep themselves in the top 3 in the West, when the Cavalry gets better over the next 2 months, look out. Right now it's exciting, man. And folks just want to see Zion on the court. That's it. When he's on the court, it all works. When he's not on the court, then it's disappointing. But hopefully this is the year he stays on the court.
And Pelicans coach Willie Green said that the Zion Williamson Brandon Ingram duo are as good as any duo in the NBA. Now, he's pumping up his guys, pumping up his team, but he's not going to make a statement like that, you know, if it's not even worth making. So that's a positive for the Pelicans.
And it's probably true. I mean, you know, the 2 of them plus CJ McCollum, this is only like they've only played like 12 games together where they've all been healthy, all on the court. And I mean, and you're talking about, like you said, Ingram and Zion are all-stars, and CJ is a stud veteran, good player who's still got tread on the tires. So, you know, that's the key, right? Good players got to be on the court. That's why the Jets, who they are, because Aaron Rodgers is out and the Kirk Cousins is going to be hurting the Vikings. All right, TK, tell us about Court Street Cafe as we get out of here.
Red beans and rice for lunch today. Got some real cool weather coming in, so come over here. They got great soups and gumbo. 805 Court Street in Port Allen. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, full service bar. They're going to have LSU on this Saturday. They also have steak nights on Saturday nights, and the big brunch on Sunday is very, very popular. Connect on Facebook and Instagram. They do a great job with the daily lunch specials, the dinner specials, the bar specials. You can keep up it, and it's easy to get to. Right over the bridge to the right to Port Allen. Second red light is Court Street. Take a right. 100 yards down on your right, you'll see the patio, plenty of parking. Court Street Cafe. Jason and the staff do a great job here. I want you to check it out for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Get a beer on the way home, something like that. Court Street Cafe, Port Allen. Always great to be here with these folks.
All right. Thanks for watching. Please like and share this video. And don't forget, you golfers out there or folks that live in the Lake Charles area, go to lasportshall.com. We got a great event November 13th and 14th at LeBears Lake Charles. We'll tell you more about it on Wednesday. Yes, sir.
Also, lasportshall.com. I'm a new member of the team.
That's right. We've got a great.
Signed up over the weekend to support the Hall of Fame.
Kind of a great booster club right there at lasportshall.com. You can join the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame team. Go check it out. A lot of information, different levels of giving. You also get some cool access, and we really appreciate it. It's a new campaign that we're going to be doing annually, and we just launched it last week. And our drive is between now and the first of the year. Got some incentives for you if you sign up before the first of the year. So thank you, TK, for joining the team. Check out lasportshall.com and follow us on social media. Got some cool videos of Paul Bird and Elena Beard and others talking about how they are on the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame team as well. We will be back on Wednesday morning for more Sports Charts Daily. Until then, have a great one, everybody.